That is exactly what has happened in 1948 with the creation of the State of Israel. Remember, you said that, we were so benevolent. We gave them all this land. No, you took the majority of the land that was allotted to the Jewish Zionist settlers was afforded by the UN. Okay,
they're not settlers. But they're called occupiers. The Jews are called occupiers.
Yeah, this goes back to my original my point. If it's a nation that has been established, how can you occupy your own nation? You can't, right? There have been.
Yeah, but this is a late establishment. This is a unique situation.
There has been peace agreement after peace agreement after peace agreement that has been turned down every time by Palestine.
Israel.
No, by Palestine, yes. Right? And look, there's been ceasefires that have been broken by Israel. Okay, that's happened.
Yeah.
And there's been ceasefires that have been broken by Palestine.
No, there haven't.
Yeah, this is the problem with you. You don't have any. How is it that I can say from a pro-Israel side, I am agreeing that Israel has broken ceasefires, right? You will not give anything to. You will not.
Exactly.
You will not acknowledge that there has been any wrongdoing on one side.
Because
that's
again,
your problem.
the principal contradiction
it's
is
just
occupied people versus.
It's why you're hacked.
No,
you will not. You acknowledge
again.
You are
because
there is an infallibility.
Show me where the Palestinians have broken a ceasefire. Okay, the whole point of a ceasefire is that they're under occupation. Okay,
that's a great argument.
You are tacitly accepting the inherent violence.
We can do whatever we want because we believe that there's an occupation. We can do whatever we want because we believe there's an occupation.
No, not because we or whatever. Again, these are international conclusions that have been drawn by legal, authorities. Okay, they have said this is an occupying situation, and if it goes back to
Okay.
I feel like you're not even listening.
I'm listening.
It's like,
I'm listening. What if? But your whole entire argument hinges on one point. That there is an occupation.
Yeah.
Hold on. And if there is an occupation, anything goes. Right? There is no fallibility to Hamas. They can do no wrong. Everything is acceptable. Rape, resistance, fucking everything.
No, he didn't say rape.
You said earlier. You said earlier there was no rape from the Palestinians.
What would Auschwitz like? What would the Jews in Auschwitz
let's not strawman. Let's not strawman this. I want to hammer you down on this point. There was 2 hostages that were released from Hamas captivity that said, I was raped repeatedly. And half of the women were raped. Are you calling them liars?
Say that again. Who said this?
There were 2 hostages, women, that were released from captivity in one of the hostage negotiations.
Okay, did you see the IDF soldiers raping these Palestinian detainees? There's tens of thousands of prisoners in the Israeli.
Whataboutism for 30 more seconds. There were 2 women who were released from Hamas captivity who said, I was raped repeatedly. At least half the women in captivity out of the 200 and something hostages were raped repeatedly. There is documented evidence from first-hand accounts. If you watch the documentary Screams Before Silence, I doubt you will because you'll just call it Israeli propaganda.
Well,
they go over all of the evidence that
I do not trust anything out of Israel's fucking mouth.
Of course you don't, because then you'd have to acknowledge
belligerent liars.
Facts.
No, there's no
this
facts.
This is called cognitive dissonance.
There's absolutely no legitimacy.
So they're lying.
There's no legitimacy until there's an actual independent. You know what's really? This could be verified.
Are those women
Israel
lying?
Doesn't let third-party organizations to come in and actually do investigations.
The documentary wasn't made by the IDF.
The IDF said so we got to go with that.
No, the women said so. The women said so on camera.
So the women.
Are you calling them liars?
Let's see what the evidence is. What is the evidence?
I just told you. Watch the documentary. It wasn't an IDF documentary.
I didn't watch the documentary. Okay,
but
I'm relying on what you're telling me right now.
After this debate,
yeah.
Right, go watch the documentary.
But for argument's sake, let's just agree and let's just admit maybe both sides. And sadly, I don't know why we have to admit this, have raped people. I know it's disgusting.
Right.
War is disgusting. There's sexual assault. Let's just call it.
I will be happy to say that there's a high likelihood that there has been an Israeli soldier that has raped
I'm sure
somebody.
Because, listen.
He will not do that.
I'm saying there's Palestinians that'll have sex with a goat. No offense. I'm just saying, I'm not surprised they've raped a human. My point is, though, even if there were some sexual assaults, which is horrible, still being murdered is worse than a sexual assault. You know what I mean?
I'm saying he's calling it resistance. It's not resistance to rape people.
Again, you know,
And
we're
he's
talking
justifying it through this
we're talking
occupation
about
argument.
occupied people.
So
and-
raping
and
people is
There's no
okay
excuse
if you're
for
occupied.
rape.
No, there's
No,
no
rape
excuse
is
for rape.
never okay.
Right? Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I mean,
Thanks for finally fucking
No,
admitting
but,
that.
I'm saying
but-
we use this rape. We see this
you're-
narrative constantly: rape,
Right.
rape, and because I'm sure there was a rape that probably happened. Does that mean little kids should not be able to get flour to make bread? You know what I mean?
We have, like you just said earlier, we have built a pier for aid. We
Oh,
have
you
aid
built a
being we have
pier.
aid being dropped in. There are pallets of aid.
Why are they so
sitting outside
reliant
of
on
Gaza.
international aid?
Bro.
Because they're deprived of their rights as a country.
They're not
they
a fucking
should be
country.
allowed to be. Yeah, they're internationally recognized as a sovereign territory, and their rights are being deprived. That's a legal argument, okay? And that's something that's beyond you or me or this room, okay? That is what world institutions have concluded. These are occupied people. If you want to pearl clutch about the violence committed on October 7th, fine.
Pearl clutch.
Blame the Israeli government.
See, this is the problem.
That is the principal
shifting-
aggressor.
The constant shifting of blame to the people who were attacked on October 7th is the most disingenuous
October
argument.
6th? What about October 5th?
There was a ceasefire on October 6th. Do you know who broke
Did you know
it?
that October 7th wasn't a bright, beautiful day? In fact, there were 2.3 million people enclosed in a concentration camp who were slowly starving to death, and they decided, you know what, we're going to do something about it because I don't want to die anymore.
How long did it
Okay?
take to build the tunnels?
Hey, let's talk about the tunnels.
Yeah.
I would love to talk about the tunnels. The fact that there is an illegal blockade, Bronze Age siege warfare instituted against the Gaza Strip, on part by the Israelis. Yes, they've had to construct tunnels underneath the ground because, you know, apparently Israelis expect Palestinians to just stand on the surface while we bomb you.
Do they put the Gazan people in those
They've
tunnels?
destroyed every single fucking building.
Are the Gazan
in 2014?
Are the
they did
Gazan
this.
are the Gazan civilians allowed to go in those tunnels and protect themselves from Israeli bombs?
Are Gazan civilians allowed to go into tunnels?
Yes. I asked the question. You just repeated it.
Yeah.
Can you answer it?
Sure.
No, they're not. And this is on video of Gazans actually saying we're not allowed to go in the tunnels. Hamas will shoot them.
Oh, shit. Okay. Well, you know what? You want to talk about that?
I do.
Fine. Let
You haven't answered the question.
Israel vacate the occupied territories, then you can talk about the tunnels. The
Wait a
reason
minute,
that
wait a-
the tunnels are there is because of the Israeli occupation. They've blocked every fucking border.
But why are the tunnels
They control the airspace, dude.
Yeah, but why-
They control the landed borders.
What are the tunnels
They
for?
control everything about that strip, and you're
what-
pearl clutching about the fucking tunnels. They created the tunnels because of the occupation.
So they created the tunnels
Yes,
because
and
of the occupation.
Most of the tunnels were there to
Does-
import food.
That's what
Food.
they're for?
90% of the food that comes into the Gaza Strip has to come in under the Rafah border.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the
and the
food's-
clothing and shit like baby formula.
So the food is allowed in the tunnels. The people are not.
Oh my God, the
Fuck
people
it.
are not
mean,
allowed in the
'cause
tunnels.
it's a fuck-
oh my God.
Cartel builds tunnels.
Yeah.
And hey, in New York, the Jews build tunnels.
So everyone's building tunnels.
Everyone's got tunnels. Yeah, but you know, see, the
Oh,
thing
but
is,
they don't allow their
so they-
civilians
so-
in the tunnel, so therefore let's just continue bombing them.
So in 2005, right? Hamas has the opportunity to build infrastructure, help their own people. You know, put a nice grid
No,
up.
they
and
don't,
No, they
you
did.
dumbass.
They did. How do you think they
They're
got the
under
money to build the fucking
occupation.
tunnels?
They're under occupation.
Well, I mean, come on, tunnels aren't that expensive, and they do have funding. I mean,
They're
Hamas,
pretty
they
expensive.
do.
Have you ever seen a tunnel?
I'm just saying. Okay, they
Do you
probably
think
are
people
getting
just
some
want to
dark
build
money.
tunnels to be
Yeah,
underground?
no,
You think
but
people want to go hide underground?
that's my question to
It's
you.
because they're being bombed.
Hold on.
dumb
You said
fuck.
why the tunnels are being built. What were the tunnels built for? And it's not food, right?
Yes, they were. Actually, Sarah Roy, a Harvard economist, has studied this extensively going back to the 90s. And she, as well as a plethora of other economists, have determined that the 90% of all of the tunnels that are that go into Gaza and come out of Gaza were created post 2005, which means that after Israel imposed the harsh blockade, Yes, predictably, and after they committed these operations, these terrorist operations in the Gaza Strip, where they demolished the entire strip, yes, they created more tunnels to circumvent the Israeli occupation. That's not a fucking revelation, dude.
How does a tunnel circumvent an Israeli
Because you
operation?
go underground, and then that way you can smuggle in shit that you need to have a society, because it's being deprived.
You mean like bombs?
No, I don't mean like bombs, actually, because most of the shit, like I just said, that went into Rafah from Egypt was food, clothing,
Here's the total-
construction materials.
Here's the total
shit
amount
that you need to have an actual fucking society, because if you don't have buildings, you can't organize. You don't have infrastructure.
Since 2005, when they started building the tunnels, there has been a grand total of 32,330 rockets and mortars fired towards Israel.
2005, and predictably, that's when the occupation ratcheted up the blockade, ratcheted up the siege. So
did you see how ludicrous that was, where they said they weren't going to send them cookies because they could use the cookies?
Yeah.
as
Oh my God,
I
yeah,
mean,
the
wasn't
cookies,
that
I don't
so
know anything
ridiculous?
about-
Yeah, they said that they could make rockets.
I think that look, if it were me, I wouldn't fucking let anything in.
If you want, I know, because you're spineless coward.
No, I mean, I wouldn't listen. If
that's okay.
Mexico
okay.
did what Hamas did, I wouldn't fucking send snacks to Mexico.
See, I'm different. Even a person on death row in prison, I hate them. I think they deserve to eat food. Believe it or not, somebody in a
Sure,
prison.
but
on
if that
death row,
fucking person on death row is firing a rocket at you fucking 15 times a day,
let's say
I
they
probably
killed
wouldn't feed 'em.
if they killed a family of 7, in a weird rage, a fit of rage, I still believe that person, when they go to jail, should not be starved.
What the point we're leaving out is there
Sounds anti-Semitic.
Before we there is a consistent threat to Israel that is proven through the amount of rockets that is being fired at Israel daily, right?
They're not being fired by Hamas.
They're being fired by Hamas. They're being fired out of Gaza into Israel. That's what the Iron Dome is for.
I understand that, but it's like a lot of those bombs. I mean, I don't know how big of a.
Yeah, but just because they're bad at it doesn't mean that it's fucking...
No,
it's the foreign countries that they're actually afraid of. It's not really Gaza.
Alex is right. There's studies done on this. There's documented evidence that shows that an overwhelming majority of the rockets that are fired into the green zone, the green line in Israel, are glorified bottle rockets. Okay,
why
and they're counted as if they are. It's another. We're under attack.
Yeah. And it's a way of showing how good the Iron Dome is.
Yeah, but it's really not exactly.
So your argument.
So you're going against. And
your argument is Your argument is they build shitty rockets and fire them.
Yeah, because they don't have a military. They're deprived.
They have a military. It's called Hamas. You called them resistance.
They're deprived of having any. Show me a military base. Where's their military base? Where's their Navy? Where's their army?
Where is their military base?
Exactly.
They are embedded into the civilian population, which is why Gaza looks like Hiroshima.
It's because of what now?
Their military base is any fucking house they want. Okay, it's hospitals.
So
it's
the head of
schools,
the head of the Mossad, which the Kier League compound or whatever it's called in downtown Tel Aviv, we can just bomb downtown Tel Aviv since there's a Mossad building there. Okay, right? Right? The IDF headquarters are underground in Tel Aviv, so we can bomb Tel Aviv. We can just wipe off Tel Aviv off the map, right? That's your logic.
Well, I mean, all right. So
they're embedded in civilian infrastructure. So let's level it.
Gaza is about the size of Detroit. Okay, so let's say there was according to you, a resistance force, right? A resistance force that was in Detroit that was firing rockets at their neighbors, like outer Detroit, whatever. And we were saying, okay, these people are literally embedding themselves in downtown Detroit, and they're constantly firing rockets out, and they're hiding among civilians, and we can't do anything about it. Do I think that we should bomb Detroit? Yeah. So that's the problem.
But what about the CHOP in Seattle? We've kind of had that where there's been resistance and we didn't go bomb
That's a
them.
very tamed down version of it.
I agree, but
no, we don't bomb CHOP because CHOP isn't a threat.
When there's a school shooter mowing down kindergartners, we should just bomb the school.
Speaking of school shooters, the one that just took out a couple of kids this week wrote "Free Palestine" in their manifesto.
Oh my God! Well, let's send more bombs to Israel.
Well, to this trans shooter though, everybody's saying that he was anti-Israel. He did go to a Catholic church and shoot at mass, so I would think he's more anti-Christian.
It was a soft target. The synagogues they have security because of all the threats that they get, right? So they had
regardless, I'm just saying if he really was that anti-Israel, I think he would have not gone to a Catholic church.
Whatever. I think that cowards who kill children find a soft target.
He's disgusting. disgusting.
I think that they find
I
a
think
soft
Cowards who
target.
kill
And
children,
his
yet you
mom went to
defend
that
Israel.
His
school,
mom
so
worked
there was
there.
some connections.
He knew that it was a soft
I'm
target.
not saying he necessarily loves
And look,
Israel, but I just think he hates Catholics more.
He
if you
hates.
shoot him.
Well, I think that he hates the children of Abraham. I think that he hates anything. The overwhelming majority of Christians are Zionists. They support Israel because Jesus was a Jew. Jesus is from that region, and they have a religious tie to that land. I mean, that's why I am a quote Zionist, is because I believe in the Abrahamic covenant.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Culture War podcast. We're live every Friday, 10 a.m. to noon, so subscribe and come hang out.